Welcome to Step by Step. Every Saturday at 4 p.m., I'm painting and taking you along on the journey, step by step. Today I'm painting a little nightstand. It has a really rough surface on the top because it was veneer and some of the veneer came off. So I use some sandpaper and I clean off that veneer as best I can and get rid of the rough stuff, the loose stuff. And here I'm using Dixie Belle's White Lightning to give it a cleaning. I dilute it and put it in a spray bottle and wipe it off with a paper towel. After that step, it's really important to also use the mister bottle with water and make sure you give it a thorough rinsing. Now I begin to paint the top of my piece, and I'm using Dixie Belle's Mermaid Tail. I'm really surprised at how well the paint gives that area that I sanded a whole new surface. It's still not perfect, so we're going to use a texture additive called Seaspray a little bit later on and just go with that texture instead of trying to fight it. Next, I continue down the front of the piece with Mermaid Tail, and then on the bottom I use Rusty Nail, which is a reddish tone. So this was the first coat, and I am going to blend these two colors together. So on the first coat I didn't blend them, I just met the lines. So I just laid out the colors where I wanted them to be. In this step I'm going to blend those two together. I'm not adding the texture additive yet. I kept my brushes in a plastic bag in between coats, and I'm just going to recoat my mermaid tail, and I'm just going to do the front of the piece for now to show you the blending. But I just want to reactivate that paint by giving it a second coat. So I'm using both of my brushes, one for each color, and then I also bring in a neutral brush for the blending. And I also use my mister bottle. Now I've put the drawers back in just so that I can get a good blend over the surface. But don't forget to pull those drawers out while the paint's drying, otherwise your drawers will stick. On the first coat I did make sure that I got around the tops of the drawers and the sides. This piece actually has a really cute lining in the drawers already, so it's a nice little bedside stand, or in the living room, a little table to put beside your furniture. So again, I'm just putting this color up against the other color for now, but I want both of those colors to be wet so that I can blend them. So I finish that, and then I go to the Rusty Nail color again. And again, I am just putting a second coat on, and I'm bringing it up to meet the Mermaid Tail. Then these two colors will be wet and we will blend them together. I'm using Dixie Belle's Scarlet brush here. I love this brush. It's really great for pieces of furniture like that. Nice and flat to get in between the drawer area, and then also you can turn it the other way and you have a great flat surface that holds a lot of paint to coat those flat areas. Yes, I think I just said flat 3 different times to describe 3 different ways. So we're just about ready to start blending here. So there's my neutral brush and Mr. Bottle. So I spray that line. And then I come back in with the brush, and with a very soft touch, I just work that line. I work it in different directions. I like to keep it clean, so I just blotted my brush off on a paper towel, because you don't want to keep adding color to that line. You want to blend those two. And you can come back in with your other brushes and add color wherever you want, if you want it more intense in one area. But the goal here is to make that line sort of disappear. And you just keep working it as much as you want. The Mr. Bottle just kind of reactivates the paint and makes it workable again for you to do this. When you're working with two different colors like this that are not in the same family, it takes a little more effort than it does when you're blending, say, a blue into a blue or a red into a red. So I wanted a little more of the rusty nail in there. I always spend a little bit of time on this part of the project and kind of cut the other ones a little bit more. I think people are thirsty to get all the knowledge they can about paint blending. It intimidates people, and it really shouldn't, because it's just like anything else. The more you do it, the better you will get at it. And water actually helps move the paint around a little bit itself. So sometimes you get a cool look just by misting and then kind of letting the paint do its own thing. You can do a drippy look if you want, or just a blended look. If you do the drippy look, it's really easy. So sometimes you get the line where the colors meet really good, and then you almost actually create a new line. So then you can kind of see that happen sometimes, and then you start to work on that new line. If that makes any sense, it's really something that you will understand when you experience it. You'll see, I made a whole new line there, so I want to now blend that one. I did this technique before where I blended it on the handle, and I really liked it, so I'm doing a repeat. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm adding Seaspray to Dixie Belle's Copper Patina. I've made a mess of that jar. But Seaspray is a powdered texture additive, comes with a scoop, and I'm just putting it in a bowl and stirring it up. I get the mixture pretty thick, so I end up diluting it a little bit by adding a little more paint. Remember, I want to texture a little bit on the top of that piece, but I was really happy about the way the paint really helped even it out, and the sanding, so I'm not going to go crazy with it. Also, because it's the top of the piece, so if you want to put, things on top of your furniture, you don't want it to be so lumpy bumpy that you can't set things on there. So I just continue to mix this up, and you don't want to use the best brush you own to apply this, because it's kind of it's not important. You just want to get it on there. So I just take my brush, dip it in the paint, and I'm also addressing one area in the front where I didn't have complete coverage. So I'm just kind of also smoothing that blending area. Then I just kind of take it up over the piece. Just kind of imagine how rust might travel. Not that wood rusts, but just kind of giving it that crusty look. And I always put it on the hardware because assuming that is metal, that would rust. But I love both Patina and Seaspray. They are just two products that are just so much fun to work with. You really can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just putting a little bit on the top in that area, and now I'm bringing it down over the front of the piece. My mask is hanging off my face. Now I begin to do the second part of the patina process, and that is where you spray the patina on either the green or the blue spray, and this is an activator spray. You always want to remember to mix, stir, shake your patina products because they have metal in them, and so you want to make sure that is not settled at the bottom. So this is such a cool step because you see it start to happen before your eyes. As you can see, when I spray that on there, it starts to discolor a little bit. Now I'm adding a little more depth of color to the piece by waxing it. I used Dixie Belle's Easy Peasy Spray Wax, and I'm also using the Best Dang Wax in brown. And I've used the Easy Peasy wax first just to make it easy to distribute the color so that it doesn't go on really kind of harsh. The dark color will grab onto the pigment of the chalk paint if you don't add a little layer, a barrier of a sealer or wax in between there. And people often ask what's the difference between a sealer and wax. You know, you can use either. It's a matter of preference. I am a wax girl. I just like the way it goes on. Who knows, maybe I might turn into a sealer person in the future. And there are places for both. I definitely have used both, but it's just whenever it comes to a decorative piece like this, I tend to lean towards using wax. And I just use the paper towel to just kind of spread it out a little bit. I like to put it around the drawer handles and around the edges of the drawers and the edges of the piece. And now I'm taking some gilding wax in copper, and I'm just adding a little bit of color to the hardware. Just a little bit, just to bring back some of that metal sheen. I really love it. Here's how it turned out. I think it looks pretty cool. I want to thank you so much for watching today, and we hope you visit us at lavintagedecor.company, and on Instagram we're lavintagedecor. And on Facebook, you'll find us at La Vintage Decor Altoona. Stay well,